All right. Okay, so today we're going to be discussing sales playbooks and sales structure. Okay. Um, how many, just out of curiosity here, have a sales playbook in their business?
I don't.
Okay. Anybody else? Just throw a one in the chat if you got one. No big deal if you don't. By the way, I'm going to share a resource for all of you on the call today. This is like a mini version of our sales accelerator program where we build these playbooks for you. Again, there's always the option for us to do this work with you, but for you guys out there that are just starting out, this is a great start for building out a sales playbook. So let me explain to you exactly what a sales playbook is and why every contractor should have one. So ultimately, there's going to come a point in your business where you're going to have a sales issue. Okay, one way or the other. If you're working with sales reps already, if you have a sales team, all right, or you have you're working on your own. What a sales playbook does is essentially it's a place where we're going to have our scripts, we're going to have everything about our sales process, all right, and it's the first step in systemizing a sales process. Okay. I learned a long time ago that just hiring a sales rep and throwing them out without educating them, training them, having ongoing training with them, ultimately always leads to the same result: mediocre results. All right, semi-par at best. Even if you have an A player and you bring them into an environment where they're not being supported, they're not being trained, they're not being nurtured, sales begin to suffer. All right. Now, most of the time when I'm evaluating contractors' businesses, one of the sore spots is sales. And there's a logical reason behind that, is most of us weren't formally trained to sell. All right. Some of us are naturally good at it, but the majority of contractors I encounter haven't got the first clue about sales. Okay. And as we've kind of established with our training, and I kind of repeat on a very regular basis, there's only two things that are scalable inside of a contracting business. Okay. We have to be able to grow marketing or grow sales, right? Or both of them at the same time. That is the only way that you're going to grow a business. Okay. You can't grow a business just by being good at what you do. All right. There's a limit to it. And everything after sales and marketing is an expense. Okay. Including the role that you're playing. In other words, again, if you were the best project manager the world has ever seen, all right, there's still a maximum amount of value that can be attached to that role. Okay. Also, when I say there's no work, no money in doing the work, I mean it sincerely. All right. At the end of the day, that is your product. All right. The more you can understand that that product is what you sell, the money is made in the sale, the transfer of goods. Okay. And how do we make that transfer of goods? We market. We get in front of the right prospects. Okay. These are the things that bring you real freedom and stability in your life and in a contracting business. If you're just out there trying to do the work, again, everyone starts off in the same boat. I did as well. All right. But you'll find yourself always kind of coming back into the same position. All right. There's a maximum limit and it's all dependent on the energy you have. All right. Now I see guys all the time running $3 million businesses, but like when you look at their time, we know what they're spending their time doing. They're in their business and it's locked to them. Okay. So one of the ways that I want you guys to think is if you're not good at sales currently, that's fine. Okay. I know a lot of really mediocre sales reps that with a good sales process can outsell, the top guys out there. Okay. And again, this is where we blend systems and procedure together. So again, we're going to go through this sales playbook and we're just going to, I'm going to explain to you guys kind of how we would lay this out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right, cool. So you'll notice in the chat there, guys, I've given you the actual playbook. So as I'm sharing things with you guys, sharing scripts, sharing, or if somebody else is sharing, what you want to do is if you find a piece that matches your puzzle, all right, so an intake process, a sales script, or objections, when you're getting objections in your sales process or you lose a job, you want to be taking note of that. Okay. You want to be bringing that back to your sales playbook and writing a solution to it. Okay. So a lot of what we're going to be sharing in these modules, you can actually apply into this sales playbook that I've given to you guys. Okay. And it asks the important questions. So, you know, in terms of a basic play, let's just start off right at the top here. I'm going to take the most simplest form. When a lead comes in, what do we do with it? Okay, so immediately as the lead comes in, we have to have a discovery call process, which we've been talking about in our role play classes. Okay, discovery call, where we're going to basically qualify our prospect. All right, make sure that it's a good fit and that they actually have a problem we can solve. All right, while also doing ourselves a favor by collecting information that we're going to apply to when we get face to face with them. Okay. Step 2, we want to have a pre-appointment. Okay, this may be the in-house sales estimator. Well, again, if you're doing roofing and satellite views like we do, you know, this is basically, you know, a process that we execute, setting the salesperson up to actually go do the close. Okay. Some of you guys may be using appointment setters as well, depending on your business or your niche. Okay. Or you may be doing all of this stuff yourself. Where we want to be very clear about is by getting the information out of your head, getting the process out and in front of you, and you're going to find a lot of ways to make it more efficient. Again, all of you guys are a part of a community now where we can share, you know, what's working best, and you got to have a place to store that. Okay, think about it this way too. If you get your sales process perfect and your marketing process perfect, now we can delegate that off to really talented people. Right. So moving along
Yes.
in here, we then want to make an appointment. All right. And we're going to go through an actual sales structure, right? So you guys can kind of see, you know, what it looks like, but we're going to set an appointment, and that's where we're going to essentially do our close. Okay. And there's steps to doing the close, and they're different for every business. Okay. The process itself is very, very similar, but what we say, how we say it, and when we say it changes. Okay. What we present also changes. All right. So again, just to kind of give you guys an intro into that, and then we have a sold contract. Okay. How we deal with that afterwards is, again, another process, another procedure. The more clarity we can have, the easier it's going to be to delegate. It's also a way of making continuous improvement. And I can't stress this enough to you guys. You know, I talk about it all the time. With sales, you are never 100%. There's not one sales team in the world that's 100%. Okay. At best, I would say the average contractors like 60%. All right. Meaning that they have a lot of room to grow, a lot of room to improve. The best I've seen, maybe 80, 85. Okay. Meaning they still have 15%. And then if you were to compare that to the top 1% of contractors that have everything dialed in, there is such a massive, significant difference in the way they operate. And again, there's teams out there selling $100 million, $200 million of like in-house sales. Okay. So what's the difference? Like, how did they get there? And I'm going to tell you the secret. It's the determination to continuously improve every single day. All right. It's about hiring people that have growth mindset, but also always coming back to how to improve the process. So something changes in the market, they're on it, right? There's a new thing that they could try, they're trying it, right? How many of us have the luxury of trying the latest and greatest thing in our sales process? How many even have a sales process period? Or are we just out there winging it, right? I would love to demonstrate what a actually well-trained salesperson sounds like compared to what a self-trained salesperson sounds like, and it's wildly different. So again, just kind of going through this, we want to make sure for you guys that it's really, really clear. And like the way I want you to imagine this in your head is that tomorrow we're going to remove you from the business and you're going to go live in Mexico. Okay. And if you want to survive there, you have to hire people up here to do your job and your role. All right. Meaning, what information do we have to exchange for them so that our business doesn't go down and we don't starve in Mexico? Right. We start with the very, very basic things, like what we do, right? What is it that we offer? What's the clear, what's the clear differentiation between us and the rest of the market? Okay, pretty basic. All right, what benefits do we offer? So when someone chooses to work with us, what benefits do they get? Okay, biggest one, again, for everybody here, step one, and probably the one I see most neglected is, what we do to actually qualify or disqualify a client, right? A lot of us have a problem saying no. How many here, and just give me a one in the chat, how many here's favorite word is no? I can't be the only one. Okay, that says a whole lot right there. My favorite word is no. And I teach my team to have that favorite word as well, because at the end of the day, we have to think about it like this. All right. There is an enormous amount of opportunity around each and every single one of you guys, more than you could ever possibly do. All right. But with that, there's also an enormous amount of wasted time and wasted energy that gets spent on people that don't match the criteria of who you work with best. Okay. When we learn what our offer is and we decide specifically like who we can serve and start setting boundaries, we can now start to qualify. All right. And the way I want you to really think about it is, I mean, again, imagine your worst class D customer. All right. Think about the pain that you suffered through. All right. And doing that job or doing that project. We all get them, right? Imagine again that, that you get them more often or more frequently because you have no way of defending yourself. All right. And I think a lot of us may already be in the situation where we're working with people we don't want to work with. We're working with customers that don't pay their bills on time. We're working with, people because we're either really scared of sales or timid of them. And we want to be order takers. All right. Order takers are people that work for general contractors that don't have a sales process. All right. I often will compare them to car salesmen. All right. A car salesman is in most cases a order taker. Now, hopefully I don't have any car salesmen on here and don't mean to offend you, but it's just an example. All right. So at the end of the day, the companies that are succeeding and the ones that are the most successful, all right, in any industry across the board. Oh,
one the customer
hold
fills
on a
out,
sec.
and there's the one we do when we go and actually take pictures. But if we're gonna do flashing,
All right. So the companies that are the most successful in any market, but especially in contracting, have two very, very common things very common things. All right. One is they can outbound sell. All right. Meaning they can sell to a cold prospect, somebody that doesn't know them, hasn't met them. All right. They can move them relatively easy into a closed customer. All right. Number two is that they have a marketing plan that supports giving a high caliber sales team enough leads and enough opportunity to do what they do best. Okay. So again, when we look at these teams and you look at their infrastructure, all right, they're very clear about who they serve. They're very clear about what they offer. All right. In fact, it's drilled and drilled and drilled. The funny thing about sales, most people don't understand is, maybe if you got a script, right, you might memorize it, but you're not done. Your job then is to get better and better and better, right? So I know some of you guys have been coming to our role plays, all right? It might sound funny, it might be uncomfortable, but that's truly how you improve your sales, all right? So even if you have a script down pat, you've been doing it for years, great. I mean, I put you around another high caliber salesperson, and I promise you that you'll start to see improvements. All right. And small improvements, tonality, structure, it can be the smallest things, right? But we should all be striving to improve in every area of our sales. Okay. And then when we're really good at it, we also have to get it out of our head. We have to make sure that we can pass that system on to somebody else. All right. And really, again, if you have a scalable sales system, meaning a good offer, all right, and a way to sell it consistently where an average person could be successful selling it, you've mastered the game, right? That's almost a game over besides the marketing. Okay. A couple of ideas here, buyer's guides, right? So buyer decision, motivating factors. I know I talked to a lot of you guys and you are not quite clear on this. It's really, it's super important that we know what our unique selling proposition is at very least. All right, what makes us different. If we're going in and sounding like everybody else, that's going to be hard to sell to, right? We're not giving ourselves the best opportunity there. And a lot of what sales does is helping a customer to understand our value. Okay. So with an order taking process, guys, that's essentially takes away and makes you a commodity. All right. So if you can imagine you're an electrical contractor that only works for builders. And again, no shots at anybody. But it's hard at that level to really sell high value. Okay. Now there is exceptions, and I know everyone will argue with me, but there's a limit to it. All right. On the other hand, all right, when we want to build value with a customer, that's B2C, for example, all right, we're able to do that. We're able to, with good salesmanship, good strategy, we're able to justify our price being higher to a customer. All right. Much easier in the B2C markets. All right. So for most of us, what you'll find is by improving the sales process, just the process part, all right, not even getting to your sales skills, will automatically start to see your business grow. All right. I see this all the time. What's 15 to 20% more yeses than you got last year for each and every one of you. All right. So think about all the opportunities that you had. All right. If you increase that by 15%, all right, what would your business look like today? Okay. What would it look like with 30%? For most of you, you would have already exceeded your goals and, you know, and better. Now, think about it this way. All right. If the majority of the leads, so that your qualified customers that came through your door, you could count on you could count on a 30 to 40% closing ratio every single time. All right. How much easier would it be to take on projects and take on work and take on staff? How much more confident would you be?
A lot more.
Right. What's stopping you now from doing it?
Payroll. Hey, money.
Okay.
Your mindset.
Yeah. Well, there's a few things. So I would say it's a combination of a couple of things. So a lot of times, what we don't understand is that we didn't get no because we're the lowest price, right? Or the highest price. We didn't get a no because of that. We didn't get a no because, there's so much competition in the market. That's not true. All right. We got a no, because, and we continue to get no's because we don't know. We don't know why. We don't know how our customer thinks. We don't know how they respond. We don't know what makes them tick. All right. And we're trying to sell to everyone. We're throwing our services around or pitching services, benefits and features. Okay. Whereas, which we've been talking about, when you start to really understand the way that human beings make buying decisions, all right, it's much easier to now see how to build value in an offer. Okay. Once you realize that, or once you build an offer, some guys accidentally fall into, I spoke to a gentleman this week that has a tremendous business. All right. And he hasn't the first clue on how he developed his offer, but it works, right? Worked over, probably the last 30 years or so. Okay. Amazing sales, right? Some people fall into it, but for the majority of us, how do we come up with our offer? All right. So improving in these areas, if you find that you are having cash flow problems, okay, what does that mean? Right? What does cash flow problems mean? It means that we're probably selling to the wrong people that don't pay their bills on time. Okay. And we're doing that because we don't have enough options. So marketing, part of marketing. And, B to that is either we're not closing enough of the opportunities we're getting. All right. Or again, we don't have a good offer. It's going to be somewhere in that line, right? So if we've gone and copied somebody else's offer, for example, You know, it's pretty easy to offer roofing services. All right. If I went into the general market and was like, hey, I do shingles. Great. I have, you know, limited, maybe I have a website and a couple other things. I'm not going to be looked at any differently than everybody else. All right. And it would be very hard for me to compete. All right. Now, you match that with a poor or a bad sales process. All right. And we're going to have cash flow problems. We're going to have a lot of other issues as well, right? We're going to have mindset issues. Okay. So let's talk about maybe the pathway to solving this. Okay. I would say the first pathway is get around people that know what they're doing, right? I'm always gonna lean that direction. I'm a big component in mentors and, you know, finding people that have done what you want to do. All right. And then second to that, dedicate yourself to the process. All right. If you're at the stage where you know, sales is a problem, I would recommend, at least for and you don't do sales or you don't like sales, I would suggest that that you dedicate yourself to the process, all right, and actually leaning into it and following the steps, all right. Often what I find is owners that refuse to do sales, all right, or, you know, they do it so half-assed that, and then complain about their results, all right. Again, I hear almost always it's a vicious circle where I'll talk to somebody that's very technically skilled, like very good at their job, you know, the best installer, the best project manager. When I start to ask him questions around how he, you know, they close deals, it's like the least interesting thing to them, right? And in that same sentence, they wonder why they can't get more work, and they wonder why they have cash flow problems, right? They can't seem to find the right customers. Again, it all comes back to a simple, you know, a simple formula, right? Is this making sense for you guys?
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Okay. So again, we want to think about, all right, delegating the lower end tasks. So I've always been of the school of thought, and I've learned this the hard way, okay, that I shouldn't be answering the filtering, incoming, and qualifying calls. So the marketing qualified leads, all right, I'm always going to try and use an admin, somebody outbound, but I'm going to train them. Okay. That's not an excuse not to train them and just, you know, put your 15-year-old niece on the phone to answer those calls. That's a bad idea. Okay. But what we want to do, step one, is prove out our script as being capable of actually qualifying. Okay. So when an incoming call is coming in, that's your opportunity to screen. Okay. And if we're a true salesperson, and again, even on my teams, this is why we have a separation. Like, our sales reps don't do the first incoming call. All right. That's a waste of their time. Also, what we found is that they take on unqualified leads. All right. Because they want to sell everything. A lot of owners do it to themselves too. They shoot themselves in the foot by not having a process, by not having a criteria that they're going to hold themselves accountable to follow. All right. The way I had to actually do this is I had to put a scoring system in. And then even when I thought like, and I can't tell you how much I would fight with myself that I should break the rules and go out and give this person a quote. All right. That's you know, when you get into sales, you want to sell everything, every opportunity. But what you realize is that as a salesperson, your time is the most valuable thing that you have. All right. And a good salesman, all right, on average, and I would say like even an average salesman make around $500 to $600 an hour. All right. How many of you guys are making that kind of money in your business now? Right. I know salesmen that are making $3,000 to $4,000 an hour. Okay. I've had some good patches in my career where I've made substantially more than that. Okay. So again, what skill do you want to learn? What process or what is more valuable? Okay. Because I promise you, learning the skill set here of being a great salesperson, you will never make that kind of money in being in the trades. There's not a single person out there that I've seen yet that is so good at their job that they get paid those kind of rates. Right. And it's just, think about it logically. What's more scalable? I could sell to 10 people in a day. I can't install 10 jobs in a day. right? I can't be that fast. I can't build a house in a day. I could sell one. I can't build one. Right? So again, our time is our asset. All right. What we choose to do with our time, almost 70% of the time a sales rep has is spent doing non-sales tasks. All right. So you imagine that. So again, I'm getting paid $600 an hour. All right. And I'm only working 30% of the time on my actual skill. If you can increase that, all right, by using, other people in your business, appointment setters and things like that, two things are going to happen immediately. Okay. Number one is the trash in your head will start to clear out. Okay. So meaning, when you talk to an unqualified customer, it's not good for your mindset, right? That's why we try to filter that. We try to screen. I want my closers only talking to the qualified customers because it's game on. They're there for them, right? They've got one focus in mind, one single focus. All right. We want to make sure that we're feeding them with the perfect people to close. And believe me, like teams become unstoppable. And it's not like I didn't come up with this. I mean, it's a proven system across the board. You use you use your front end to filter, all right? And you're only going to bring through, the people that you've deemed to qualify with your business, all right? What do we do with the rest of them? Do we tell them to go away? See you later? How would you guys handle it? Because I say no more than I say yes. 50% of our leads we say no to. Here's a funny fact for you. I've tried to qualify to get a quote for my business with my setters. I wouldn't get a quote. We wouldn't give me a quote if I answered the questions. What's that tell you? How dialed in is that? Meaning I wouldn't sell.
And why is that? What is it? What is it?
Because I'm
that's
price
off
sensitive.
about you?
I'm price sensitive. I grew up poor. I would never spend $100,000 on my roof. Like, again, I don't drive luxury cars. Like my value system doesn't match our product. Right.
Right. Same here.
Right.
Mine as well.
So a lot of times though, what ends up happening is, let's say that you do have that mentality. All right. Well, people tend to try to think of sales as they go into it with the wrong idea about it, I think, and they end up attracting more people like themselves, right? And they trust people like themselves, and like it's very common. I learned this from like the recruitment and hiring. My lesson came is like I can't judge that way. I got to look at the facts, and our emotions mislead us, right? Especially in sales. So again, if you relate to somebody like yourself, all right, and you sell best to someone like yourself and you're price sensitive, yeah, you're probably going to have some cash flow problems, right? If you're selling to your buddies and your friends,
That was good.
right? You're probably going to have some cash flow problems. So again, we got to break those habits. How do we do that? All right. And recognize these patterns that we've got ourselves caught in. Well, it's procedure, right? So again, like I said, I wouldn't have known, I wouldn't qualify to get in to my business until I put it all in place, right? What I wasn't going to accept, what I was going to accept. And we started putting numbers to that. All right. Because over and over again, I found myself and my reps running out, giving quotes to tire kickers, right? Running out. And guess what? When I started to record that and started to write that down, I found out those people are like me. When I was talking to them, I related to them well, the conversation flew, but every indicator was there that they had no money and they weren't interested in what I was going to pitch them, right? So, I mean, again, how many of us are probably trying to sell a Lamborghini to a Honda market, right? They don't fit. So we have to understand, again, the value of our product. And this is what I mean by practicing and understanding and being around other people in terms of determining that value. I would say again, and you guys probably know already, like, what is the value of your work, right? We all want to be paid the max figure for it. All right. But I'll tell you something, you get paid for the sales process, and it's far more lucrative to have a better sales process than a better product. Okay. And again, while we're being honest here, I would say our installs and our metal roofs are no better than the next guy down from us. All right. We do a good job. We have a good procedure. I don't have callbacks that much, but like overall, I mean, if I was being honest, there's way better installers out there. There's craftsmen that like would blow our business apart. All right. There's guys out there that take this shit seriously. I mean, it's their life. I mean, they can do crazy things that we can't, and that's okay. All right. There's lots of craftsmen out there as well that are dirt poor and will remain dirt poor. And, no one will ever hear about them. Okay. So again, when I'm getting back to the, why we want to really take this stuff to heart. All right. Is think about the time that you're spending. All right. If we all spent a little bit more time being thoughtful of our time, all right, a lot of the problems that you guys are experiencing would start to go away. Okay. Again, priorities, clearing the overwhelm, the chaos. Okay. So again, is it a good idea, all right, to be out on the work site, stressed out, wearing that, productions hat, jump in the truck, all right, and then go try to close a high ticket sale? Is that good? I mean, you can do it, yes, and it happens, but what are the odds over time that it's going to work out?
You're wearing too many hats trying to do that.
Well, again, your mind can't be in all those places. You can't be good at all those things. Just like you can't be good at, doing everything for everyone. So we have to come to a place where we make things simpler. We make things easier. And a lot of this may seem complex to you guys, but it's actually it's simpler. All right. If you knew exactly what to say every single time to get, this result, how many times are you going to keep doing it? Right. But if you don't know and you're just going out and, making something up new every time, you'll never know. You'll never know. Like maybe one day you get lucky and you close a high ticket one, but you have no clue how you did it. You can't go back and replicate that. All right. And that's, again, we see this all the time in contracting businesses where I've seen it in extreme cases where the sales rep leaves the company and the company goes bankrupt. All right. I've seen it where the owner can't replace himself and he's stuck in sales. All right. The only person that can sell to his customers is him. Well, that's not a business, right? Although it's a much higher paying job than being on the tools, but at the end of the day, if he goes away, the business goes away. All right. So why is that? Why can one person have that much control or power within a business? All right. Or I've seen, again, even more extreme cases where, they get a sales team in. All right. And all of a sudden, everything falls apart, right? They had a great business before. They can't teach the new sales team, regardless of if they were good or not. All right. They just bring them in and they expect that they'll just pick up this magic knowledge and be able to run with it. Right. That's a very, very high risk and it doesn't play off well long term. Okay. What most contractors need to understand is that when you hire a salesperson, especially a fully commissioned salesperson, they're running a business within your business. Okay. So think about that. I mean, again, their value goes up when they produce, right? Our commitments go up when they produce. All right. All right. If they leave, what does that do to our business? It's not easy to find good salespeople. I promise you, it is not an easy thing at all. All right. And I'll tell you why. Good salespeople, they don't want to put themselves in an environment where they're not going to be successful. So if they're coming into a disorganized contractor with no plan, they don't want none of that. They also need, all right, unlike everyone else, sales is a quantitative, it's 100% quantitative, right? Meaning that everything can be measured. Sales closing ratios, number of called leads, like all of it's quantitative. You either do or you don't. All right. Now, the only way you get to play that quantitative game and you don't get into the qualitative is if you've already got a proven system that they're to run. Now we're just drilling them to the play, right? Holding them accountable to the play. I'll tell you, you will grow a sales team 10 times faster and have them 10 times more happier under those conditions. Okay. Another big mistake that guys make when they're hiring sales teams or salespeople, all right, is not tracking, not keeping KPIs, not, regularly reviewing those, not keeping, a structure in place that allows the sales rep to be recognized when they're doing amazing and to stop them when they're in a sales rut. Okay. So again, if you want to grow your business at one point or another, you're probably going to have to hire a salesperson. All right. Those roles, by the way, I don't feel they'll go away for a very long time. I don't think AI will ever replace this. It's one of the most profitable and most important skills to learn in the world, bar none. Now, you can debate, maybe there's another one, but in my eyes, in my opinion, and after 23 years, I've landed on, if I were to have one skill, all right, that is, and I lose every other skill I have, I would want to keep sales. All right. Oldest profession in the world. Okay. So, not to get too off track here, our discovery call, you guys, we talked about that, you know, how we make that discovery call. So once somebody's qualified, all right, our sales reps now going to have their discovery call with that client. Okay. And again, I'm going to leave this for you guys to go through, because if you'd like, you can fill out your discovery call process. I've given you the framework here. All right. And then you can bring it to role play it. Does that sound fair?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So again, these are pretty basic, pretty, you know, like out of the gate, they'll work okay, but you'll want to really, you know, practice this, you know, get your tonality, get your, you know, your tone, all that kind of stuff into these discovery calls, and make sure they apply to your business. Okay. So I did my best with them in terms of just building the structure, because I know a lot of you guys don't have them. All right. But then we have next up, we just talked about it, appointment setter training. Does anybody here have an appointment setter? I'm just curious.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah, I heard a couple yeses. Eric, you've got one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. There's somebody else here that had one? Okay. So who wants to play fun with numbers? Yeah,
I'll
fun
do
with
it.
numbers. Okay, great. So a lot of people will misunderstand the expense of an appointment setter. Okay, meaning that, hey, you know what, I'm going to spend, and I mean, let me maybe define what an appointment setter is. This is literally like a junior salesperson. Okay, this can be your CSR as well. For guys in the service, like a CSR, tons of training. Like, you've got to treat them like your sales staff and sales team. Again, role plays, drills, like upgrading the scripts, like it's such a vital role. And they have another set of skills, is when you really get into it, is they're able to outbound, meaning that they can go generate leads for the closer. All right. They do follow-ups. They do, you know, again, discovery calls, so that the closer's staying in front of the customers the majority of the time. You remember how I told you that 70% of the time of a sales closer spent not doing sales related activities? All right. This is that role. If you really are serious about growing your bottom line, first infrastructure one, you know, and I've done it across the board with many, many businesses, including my own. This is the role that you need to really think about if you want to take it to the next level. Because again, in terms of numbers, if you sold 2 more projects a month because your closer was able to focus on closing, what would that mean to your bottom line? Is it worth, you know, let's say you're hiring in North America and it costs you $6,000 a month for that appointment setter. Okay. There's other options as well, but like, what's the value of that? It's enormous. It has like a 10x return, but most guys won't hire them. They won't train them. They won't, like, they want them to be their secretaries. They like, again, that's why most contractors that have cash flow problems, they're not able to close their opportunities consistently enough, right? So again, a tip here, guys, really think about, even if you're not there yet, filling this role if you're going to have a high powered, highly capable sales team. Okay. And there are a million things that they can do strategically for you. Like I said, that you can roll into your marketing expense. For me, these are investments. Okay. So when I look at my business, and I look at the top end of my business, my closers, my setters, those are investments. My marketing, those are all investments. I'm happy to put money in them. I'm happy. You know, again, we get back to the same principles here. I put in $1 up here and I'm getting 4 back here, and it's not taking any of my time, or not an enormous amount of my time. All right. What would I do all day? I just keep putting money back in, right? So you think about your sales team, when you start to think about your sales team that way, and you start to see the benefits from it. And I know most guys don't see the benefits. That's why they haven't experienced it. And it's usually because They don't have structure to have people to come in that are truly capable of doing the job. Okay. They hire their wife, their niece that have not the first idea of how to close somebody. They don't have the drive. They don't have the ambition. Then they're going, well, you know, I can't seem to get enough appointments. I wonder why. Right? We got to have drive. And again, we talked about the mindset that goes into being a true salesperson. You've got to be a savage. You got to be willing to do what everybody else won't do. Right? So I left a description in there. I've given you guys some info, again, even some training tips on this. Once again, guys, if you're serious about, hiring for these roles, talk to us. We can help you to align you with the right people. Again, we have role play classes. We build these sales structures out for you, sales playbooks, to make sure that, again, you're going to have an infrastructure in place that allows you to really grow and expand the team. Okay. So again, I put in all the training there for you guys. Whole bunch of stuff there. All right. Next up, an estimator. Is anybody using an estimator here?
What you mean, like just a software for estimating?
Nope. No, I mean like a full-fledged estimator, like somebody that does your quotes
no.
for you. No. Okay.
No,
So
they call every day though.
yeah.
We
Well, hold on.
kinda do.
So
We do it
he-
internally.
Yeah. So again, here's where I want to add some clarity to it. Okay. Should the closer be the estimator? Should the closer be the estimator? Think about the skill sets and think about now, and I'm talking about purist here. Now there'll be a wavering opinion, but here's my observation of myself and many experiences where I've had to have the salesperson as the estimator, is that number one, that's like cheating yourself. All right. The reason why is because when you have that full, the full control of the numbers, especially if you want to grow or expand a team, it's okay when you're doing it, what your pain level is. And by the way, you're the boss, right? You know what you can endure, not to say it's a good thing, because it's not, and you can't grow and expand your team. I promise, right? You got to put those boundaries in place. All right. But the other thing is, the best closers that I've encountered and that I've been involved with, they have a certain particular skill sets that I can test for and that I know specifically blend well with being able to talk to a lot of different personality types and being able to really, get people to that emotional state of buying. All right. And you know what the opposite of that is? An estimator. They're logical. They're completely logical, data-driven, go and get your accountant to sell you something. Has anyone ever bought anything from an accountant?
No.
Great. They're the same personality types. So unless you're really bipolar, all right, it's not easy to be good at both. Okay. And what ends up happening is, again, there's an actual, there's a term for it, a mental term for it, but I've talked to so many salespeople that, oh yeah, I sell 5-6 million. I do all my estimates. I'm like, oh great. I would love to know, because I said the same thing. All right. No way. I'm the best estimator in the company. I'm my numbers are perfect. When we started tracking the number of mistakes I was making, and I'm a very detailed person in my mind. All right. But when I started tracking the number of mistakes that were being made, all right, it was humbling. I promise you. Now, on the other hand, a true estimator, okay, like a good estimator with the same systems in place, plans and controls, okay, will make you tenfold by putting you in front of the prospect with the right correct numbers to close every time. All right. And think about the time involved, right? So an estimator is now logical, emotional, no wonder you guys are burnt out, right? If you're trying to be all these things to everyone, and that's where mistakes get made when we're rushing through things, when we're trying to, push things into, making them work. And again, long-term, you cannot scale it. All right. In my opinion, in my humble opinion. Now, again, here's maybe some exceptions to the case out there, but unless you have a very simple product, but the worst ones I see are the builders. All right. They're the biggest ones. Like roofing, you can kind of get away with a little bit more. It's more single trade, and depending on what you're doing, some other services, as long as it's packaged and it's it would have to be really hard to screw up. But when you get into general contracting, high level anything, all right, there's definitely a very, very important role to be played there with a true estimator. Okay. Again, renovations, all those kind of things, like with high variables, high things that, you shouldn't be doing. If your estimate takes you 5 to 6 hours to put together, terrible use of your time if you're a closer, right? You're losing $6,000 an hour while doing that estimate. That makes sense? Also, again, what you're going to find is that you, the owner, care a lot more about your business than anyone else does, right? Make sense? So again, we'll force ourselves to do something we don't want to or are not good at, all right, to accommodate the business, no problem. But now try and scale that, all right? And a lot of guys get stuck where they're stuck being the estimator, stuck like, doing these roles. And it's way easier to delegate out using the same thing. You build a system, a process, plans and controls, and you'll get a tremendously better result. Okay. Trust me on this. And this applies to other things. So the structure I'm bringing to you guys in the playbooks, I have them for each and every role and each and every major function. All right. We have operations, playbooks. We have sales playbooks. We have, systems within that. And again, it's allowed me to be outside the business and not worry, not be concerned, right? There's still mistakes, but it's so limited that, again, it's not something that I'm worried about. Okay.
Quick question, Jay.
Sure.
Quick question. Can an estimator work remotely, like without actually ever going to a job
100%.
site?
All mine do.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
So now they work in parallel with the closer. So in our situations, ours are, I've got a really, really great estimator that's on top of it involved, but they're a team with the sales team. So they're the eyes, but the estimator gets the whole, like the majority of the quote done so that my closer can be in front of as many calls. And I've got the right person doing that, right? Too many times you're either one or the other side, right? Like you're very technical and you're really great at your job. Right? Left side of the brain, logical, right? Certain personality type, defenders, stuff like that. And that doesn't blend well to closing a lot of deals. Okay. You're going to always try to push the sale, all right, with your logic. Whereas you need to lead the sale with your lead the customer emotionally, right? Again, emotional is where the sale gets made. Logic is where it gets justified. Okay. Now, the good news is human beings are generally pretty predictable. All right. So this is what good closers understand. It's like how to get people into that emotional state, how to really think about their problem and be a problem solver for them. All right. They're not there to take advantage, but they have to lead their prospect. All right. The prospect has to trust them, especially as the ticket price goes up and up. Right. There's a very significant difference between selling to somebody something at $10,000 and selling something to somebody at 100,000 or 200,000 or $1 million or $1.5 million. Like the skills required in those situations are enormously different, right? So again, if you're struggling to make $10,000 and $15,000 sales now, all right, but you're thinking that it's not your sales, your sales process or your sales, how are you going to make the $200,000 and $300,000 sales? Right? They don't get easier. Okay. So again, guys, I've given you guys some training points, like how to really kind of conceptualize how to put this together. And understand with the sales playbook, it's never done. All right. So I was actually going to show you guys mine. Mine's like 269 pages this year. All right. Whenever we have a situation or an opportunity or anything else, we build plays. All right. I teach my team to do this. I don't do this as often anymore. Like I review it, but like, again, everything you encounter, all right, can start to go into the playbook so that the mistakes don't get made again. There's lessons learned. This is how you stop the repetitive mistakes happening over and over again in your business, right? And this is how you feel confident actually handing this off to somebody that's going to do a better job than you. All right. So if you're mediocre at sales, that's fine. All right. Just be mediocre, but have a structure in place, right? Know how your process works. That's fine. You can be an operations person and still sell. You can be an estimator too. I mean, I've seen it done. You're just not going to sell at the same level that a high ticket person would, right? you're not gonna have as many closes, right? I mean, if you just followed the steps, I mean, I've proven it out before that we have about a 17% closing ratio if nobody ever goes and closes. Like we don't even meet a customer purely through email. I could just email out bids. We'll close at about 17%. All right. With an actual closer, we're about, we hover around the 40 to 45% mark. Right. So again, is it worth it? Absolutely. Like that's millions and millions of dollars in difference. Right. Again, knowing the follow-up steps, knowing like what you would want that closer doing day in and day out, right? Because how do you hold someone accountable, all right, if you can't measure, right? So out of curiosity, and I'm gonna start wrapping this baby up for you guys. How many of you guys are tracking your sales numbers now, even on a simple form? So close ratios, number of leads, like how many you have like even a simple tracking system? Give me a 1 in the chat if you do. See, we got about 15 people on the call. So far, 1. Eric, I'm surprised, man. I didn't see your number.
Yeah, don't track
No
We're
it.
gonna
wonder
have
we're
to have a
all-
discussion, my man. We're gonna get that fixed up. I gave you a tracking sheet. Did you take that to your sales? You remember the one I gave you?
The
form.
form.
Yeah,
the form.
the
Oh,
daily
yeah.
activity form. That's a sales
yeah.
tracking sheet. Get your whole
Okay,
team
yeah.
to fill it out, and then I can give you, because here's my offer to anyone that's attending the call. All right. I have a system. If you reach out to me, send me an email, a text, whatever. I'll set you up where I'll give you the tracking form. So you can track your data, and then we can have a fun game in here where we can put up competition numbers if you choose to. All right. If you just want a copy of the form, I'll share that with you as well. If you're a little timid about getting into a competition, but if you want to go all in, I'm sure Eric, you're going to want to go all in and do some competitive sprinting. It helps to really see where you're at, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times, if you're not tracking, it's simple. You cannot manage what you cannot measure, right? You may or may not have a sales problem, but you will never know unless you can track it. Okay. That's the very first step. So here's what I'll do is I'll share like a simple Excel sheet that you guys can use, some ones that I've used with my sales team, or in school, you guys can just send me a message and I'll hook you up with like the master one where it'll track, your closing, and we can have a fun game of that. We'll track them week by week if you're interested.
Quick question,
Good
Jay.
stuff. Mhm.
Does the Contractor AI software
Mhm.
that does that already, right? It's already has all
Yeah,
those-
it's already it's fully built in. So, but we
Yeah.
do, so just so you know, anybody that's in our programs, all right, so it'll be a shameless plug here. We have the Sales Accelerator program. What that is basically our team acts as your sales managers. All right. We do recruitment and hiring. So if you need a closer, we'll come in, we'll set them up. We also do all the training. So every one of these plays and hundreds of other plays I have already built, like where we'll train your closer, bring them through a full onboarding process and get them to KPI. All right. So you don't have to, and then we'll maintain them long term. So they'll be again in our role plays, updating scripts. All right. So that is one of our our pillar services. Okay. So if you don't have a playbook and you want to get one, book a call with us. We'll help you out. Again, I'm giving you both options here. I'll give you the way you can do it yourself. All right. Give you the option to come and practice it, or the easier way, the cheaper way in most cases is just get us to do it. All right. So it's going to save you a hell of a lot of time. We'll also work with you and make sure it's all dialed in. Again, like I said, it's more suited for guys that already have a good deal of business going and that are looking to grow and expand, have a actual, need an actual closer. Okay. Can work for yourself too. If if you need the sales playbooks, just jump on a call and we'll figure out if it's a fit. Okay. So yeah, like these are, again, this is an example of our playbook. Right. So like everything, and again, objection handles, which we're going to get into, and the sales structure, like all of this stuff is very process driven. All right. But it takes a certain person to be able to execute it. All right. I call it professional acting, right? When you get really good at it and you get really good with your tonality, you get really good in understanding your script and like how you're supposed to make your clients feel. All right. You understand the avatar that you sell to. And like, again, you can sell well to multiple avatars. It's game over. Like some sales reps, I mean, I'm going to pay out probably about 450 grand this year to my top sales rep. And I love it. For me, that's that's an accomplishment, right? The more, the better, right?
Yeah.
You guys need to be looking at it that way as well. Like until you get one of these high caliber guys in your hand, which you won't without these systems, right? You won't.
Yeah,
They
I
wouldn't
need
come work
some.
for you.
I need some, Jay.
Yeah.
At least, 3 this year.
Right. So again, think about the time involved. So like to actually train a salesperson, like properly to your business specifically, that's hundreds of hours of your time. Okay. That's a serious dedication of time. Like, and again, if you're off in that sales process, what happens to the salesperson, right? Let's say they come in, they're good and your offer's off, right? Like they don't know how to pitch it. There's no, no history and you just throw them out there. I could think the classic example is hiring the guy from the bus station, making him a door knocker, dropping him off in a, a subdivision, be like, knock on doors now, get me some sales, right? And you would laugh at it, but it happens all the time, right? All the time. There's next to zero contractors that I've really encountered that have like a actual play in place. Like, I mean, I have everything scripted. I have everything, broken down. Most of the time what I see is there are more sales and marketing companies that start to come in and sell solar or whatever, right? That got those kind of things in place, or door knocking companies and things like that, right? Well, here's your opportunity to really grow your business, bring it to the next level, right? Because there are definitely things that just work. Classic across the board.
I'm in.
Cool. All right, guys. I hope you got some value. If you guys got some value, I'd like one simple favor. I spent a lot of time, my team spent a lot of time putting together that beginner's sales playbook. I hope, again, when you're going through it already, that you can pull some things from it. Share your experience in the Facebook group. I'm trying to get engagement there, obviously, so I can help as many contractors as possible. All right. But if you can, share a comment, ask questions, answer questions, be active. Again, I'm doing all of this to give you guys value, how we can continue to grow the network and grow the, grow the community is just being active, right? Facebook rewards us for that. And again, I want to get as many people in that I can help as possible. And yeah, hopefully you guys can take 2 minutes for me and, share your comments. I'd appreciate it.
Awesome, man.
All right. Okay, guys. So next week, we're actually going to look at the sales script structure. Okay. So this will be really, really good again for you guys. I've got it all broken down. So we'll be able to actually, go through a full sales script end to end on the actual structure of it. So hope to see all of you guys back next week. And we'll keep delivering some value for you.
Awesome, man.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
Have a great day. Bye.
Bye.
Greatly appreciate you. Thank you.